Alas, poor Optimus, I knew him well. Hey, it's Drew Bennett from Big Damn Kid. It is January 24th. That means it is time for the 24th issue of Transformers, the comic books from 1987. This is the first issue from 1987, January of 1987. Why is this significant? It is very significant because Transformers the movie came out in December of 1986. And that was a very pivotal moment in the Transformers universe. This comic was also a very, very important moment in the Transformers universe. And I will get to that in a moment. Let's get started. Okay, starting off, we see a robot here getting destroyed by other robots. But we don't recognize any one of those robots in particular. The issue title is called Afterdeath. And we find out in the next page that it's actually just a video game. And it's a video game being played by a young man named Ethan Zachary, who is a computer scientist. He's working at this facility on a device called the, and I've got to get it right, hydrothermocline. And it is a device that when you put it into the water, it generates energy from the different thermal levels of the ocean. The science in these things is crazy. So they've been working on this. It's supposed to provide virtually limitless energy. And you know, when you create something that's going to provide virtual limitless energy, well, the Decepticons are not far behind. We see a Decepticon that we've never seen before. We have no explanation as to who he is or where he came from. But we get the Decepticon. His name is Vortex, and he is flying over the facility. He is also a scout, so he's scouting out what is happening at this facility. Now, Ethan has been playing this game called Multi-World. His character named, let's see, it's a silly name, Formulac, the Compuzoid, is his greatest character so far. And he's playing on this giant screen called the Spectramax 1000. So you can see he's in this huge hall, and there's the hydrothermocline, and this is the giant screen where he's playing his video games in between working on the hydrothermocline. Now, another scientist there, her name is Margaret. She's also working on the device. They talk about the device. She has to do something with it, so she takes the computer for a bit, but that causes Ethan to, have to pause his game and start again. But this is 1986. You can't just pause your game. When I was a kid, 1984, I had a TI-99-4A computer, which was basically a keyboard that you attach to a television, a black and white television, 13 inches, very, very small. To record my programs that I created, I would create 1,000-line programs to make an 8-bit character dance around a little bit, very, very small. It'd take 1,000 lines of code to do that in BASIC, and then you would record it onto audio tape. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you who are watching this have never seen audio tape, unless of course you're like 42 years old like me, like a big damn kid who really likes the Transformers and remembers that sort of thing. Well, anyway, back in the day, that's how you recorded before floppy disk. Now, at least floppy disks were around during this particular issue, because Ethan has backed up his character onto floppy disk. A 5¼ inch floppy disk. It was a big floppy disk. I don't know exactly how much it held as far as information, but it wasn't much. And so he gets back into Multi-World. It's from the company. Let's see if we can get you there. There we go. The company is called Flippy Floppy Industries Incorporated. But he has a backdoor cheat code to bring his character back into any point of the game, and the cheat code is the title of the issue, Afterdeath. And so he tells Margaret that hey, I can just get back into the game, I've got the code, I can go back and I can continue to play. Well, Vortex overhears that and he takes off. So Ethan goes to continue playing with Formulac, and we cut over to the Ark. Back in the Ark, we have Wheeljack working on Optimus Prime. He's actually doing surgery on his brain to take out the Cerebro Shell, which I have no idea how they discovered that he had a Cerebro Shell. No idea what was going on there. Why did they know that? How did they find that out? But they did, and so they were saying that, you know, they're wondering why the Decepticons were able to anticipate their moves lately. Well, there hasn't been many things going on with the Autobots lately where the Decepticons could anticipate their moves, other than the aerial bots and the Stunticons, and, you know, so how Megatron jacked it over, you know, he jacked into the creation matrix and was able to create the Stunticons. There was that. Optimus doesn't really know that that's how they were created, but anyway, they get the Cerebro Shell. How they found it, no idea. Get it out, they deactivate it, but then they reverse engineer it so that they can listen to Megatron, which kind of makes no sense. So they'd actually reverse engineer it so they could listen through Bombshell, and Bombshell has to be near Megatron in order to hear that, but he doesn't show up in this issue at all. Who knows? The Autobots get that information, get some information by listening, and they see that the Decepticons are going to be raiding the facility that Ethan Zachary is at, trying to steal the hydrothermocline. I'm going to get that name right. Or I am. And we cut over to some new Decepticons. We assume they're Decepticons, and they're smashing through this gate. And we find out Megatron's right there on the dash of this new Decepticon. Ethan Zachary is playing his game. The Autobots show up. The Autobots and the Protectobots show up. Okay? So the Protectobots are now in this issue. Protectobots are five Transformers who combine to form Defensor. Defensor is one of the Gestalts, the Combiners. He's combined with First Aid, Streetwise, Hotspot. I had those three guys. Then also Blades and Groove, which I never got. So I never had a full Defensor when I was a kid. At some point I'm going to try to get those figures, but we'll see. You know, we'll see what happens there. And then the Combaticons are the other Transformers that are here. And those are Onslaught and Brawl, Swindle, Vortex, and Blastoff. And they form Bruticus. And Bruticus is like one of those characters, combiner characters, who's come back over and over and over again in the toy form. So many different toys of Bruticus, it's not even funny. And so, Megatron transforms, Optimus transforms, the Protectobots transform, and they're going to fight, but the Protectobots combine into Defensor. So they combine into Defensor, whereas the Combaticons combine into Bruticus. So you got Bruticus and Defensor, they match up. A lot of the combiners would match up as far as you got the aerial bots versus the Stunticons, you got the Protectobots versus the Combaticons, then you got the Technobots versus the Terracons. They were kind of polar opposites of each other. Like the Technobots were super smart, and the Terracons were these crazy monsters. And so here you've got these vehicles that are for protecting people, and then there's these military vehicles for, you know, causing destruction and stuff. So they're going to fight, but Optimus says, you know, you could do this. We could destroy the whole facility and destroy the thing that you're trying to take, and, you know, nobody wants that. And Megatron's like, I will sacrifice the whole world just to beat you, you know, because he is crazy. Well, Ethan Zachary is out watching this, and he gets captured by Bruticus. Bruticus picks him up. One little squeeze of Bruticus's hands, and he is protoplasm squash everywhere. But Ethan proposes a solution. He has the Autobots and the Decepticons come inside the facility, and he says that you guys can be connected to this game. Okay, so you can play this game in this virtual world where you can attack and hurt each other, and if you lose in the game, then the Decepticons will get to take the hydrothermocline. If you win, then the Decepticons just leave. Megatron throws a caveat into this, and he says, if your leader gets destroyed in the game, he also gets destroyed in real life. And that's pretty intense. So all the Autobots and the Protectobots, Optimus, Megatron, they all get jacked into the machine, and then Ethan has two joysticks. Each one's connected to Optimus, one connected to Megatron. He pushes the button, an explosive goes off and destroys one or the other, depending on who wins and who loses. So there's some high stakes. There's some actual stakes to this. We get into the game. The game's called Multi-World. So once the game starts, all of the Transformers, their eyes are going to close and they're only going to be able to see what happens in the virtual world. The game is to capture and destroy the leader of the other team. So the Protectobots and Optimus end up in the world. So they start the game. They're in the world. All the Protectobots kind of say their names and say who they are. But you know what? We have no clue where they came from. Did they get created by Optimus and Wheeljack like the aerial bots? How about the Combaticons? Where did they come from? Did they come through the space bridge, or did they also get that creation matrix virtual creation? Who knows? I know in the cartoon, the Combaticons were created by Starscream. There was part of an episode called Starscream's Brigade, where he took old, like, World War II, vehicles and made them into the Bruticus. And then he controlled them. I don't know how there was a space shuttle in World War II, or why there's even a space shuttle in this whole military-themed combiner, but there is. Anyway, back into the issue. The Protectobots say that they're gonna, they're protecting Optimus. Optimus is the main person here, so they're gonna go out and they're gonna protect him, make sure that he's okay. Whereas the Combaticons are like, Megatron, you're the leader, lead the way. And Megatron says, no! And he kicks him and he says, if I'm destroyed, we all lose. And so, we see a difference in the leadership there of the two characters. Optimus says, he wants to be out and protect the Protectobots, but they say that they'll protect him. Okay? So, he says, I'll lead. Optimus says, I will lead, Hotspot. You have your Protectobots follow. And Hotspot says, no, I'm not going to lead. You are the person that the Combaticons and Megatron are after. We will protect you. And then whereas Megatron's like, get in front of me, guys. I don't want you to, I'm the one that's going to get killed. Whatever. So apparently the characters get separated in the game, and we get First Aid and Streetwise. They come up on these vines, okay, and First Aid's like, all right, well, we'll just blast through them and go through them. And Streetwise says, no, we're not going to do that. I kind of think of something that, a reason why. So he lifts up the vines and goes through. But Brawl and Swindle arrive, and they blast Streetwise and some of the vines. And when they do that, the vines start to wrap around Brawl and Swindle. Because the vines, we find out, are actually citizens of this world, and they're alive, and they thank the Protectobots for not killing them, and it gives the Protectobots a moment so that they can blast the Brawl and Swindle into smithereens, so they're out of the game. The Protectobots now have new allies in the game. Ethan's really excited about it, and we move on. We move on to another end of the world. It's called the Cloud Steps, where we have Blades and Groove kind of, chilling out there, and they're driving around. We see Vortex and Blast Off, and what they do is they destroy some of the support structures. They destroy some of the support structures for the steps and the Cloud Steps area, which cause some of the little citizens, these little pink squishy citizens, cause them to fall. And, Blades is like, I'll catch you, Groove, and Groove's like, no, save the citizens, I'll save myself, and he does, he saves himself, whereas Blades then saves the little citizens there, and that is a good thing, because in this world, they're supposed to act as if they were Autobots in the real world. That's what Optimus tells them from the beginning, which I forgot to mention, which is kind of important. And Optimus tells them that they have to remain to their programming of not harming the people of the world. And so they follow this, and they do that. The Protectobots save those people, and it comes back to help them because the people create a cloud cover so that Vortex and Blastoff can't attack, they can't attack Blades, and while they're blasted, while they're in that cloud cover, Groove can blast them and knock them out of the game. So they're gone, they're out of the games, the citizens are really happy. Ethan is excited because he's seen all the good guys win, and now we come upon Hotspot and Onslaught. Hotspot and Onslaught now fight in like it's called the Slime Pit region, which is basically a big bog, a swampy area, and so they fight each other, and there's these like little people, these little yellow people, and Hotspot saves the little yellow people, but he gets blasted. He falls underneath the swamp, and by falling underneath the swamp, those little people kind of scoot him over underneath and around behind Onslaught, so that Hotspot can pop up behind Onslaught and ambush him and blast him, taking Onslaught out of the game. And this, now Ethan is really even more excited. Megatron's like, tell me what's going on! He's very upset. But Ethan says nothing. Optimus and Megatron then meet each other in a place called Metropipe, which is another region of this game called Metropipe. So there they are. They meet up with each other. Megatron is expecting the Combaticons there with him, and they're not. The Protectobots, they have defeated all the Combaticons, and they arrive with Optimus Prime. They combine into Defensor. And Optimus then introduces Defensor again. He introduces him again. Back a few pages, we got Defensor from, it comes up and he says this is Defensor. Why does he introduce him again? Why doesn't he tell him where they came from? This bothers me, because up until this point, this comic book series has been very good about explaining where different characters came from. And in this issue, they're getting away from that, and I think we're going to see more of that in further issues. So Megatron in the real world is flipping out. He can't see anything, and he's hitting all of his guys, and he actually grabs Vortex around the neck, and he says, I've crashed, I can't help you in the game. But he tells Megatron, okay, that he scouted this, and there is an input word that he can use called Afterdeath, and it gives you a second chance. So therefore, Megatron can cheat in this game. And of course, Megatron's going to take any possibility to cheat so that he can win. And so he gets this idea, okay, well, I'll make the Autobots think that they beat me, whereas, Megatron's shooting Defensor, and Defensor, basically his fusion cannon does nothing to Defensor, and Megatron has to pretend that he's scared. Defensor comes out onto this bridge, and he blasts the bridge, okay? So he blasts the bridge, knocking he and Megatron into the void, therefore killing Megatron in the game. But Megatron uses the cheat code Afterdeath, comes back behind Optimus, blasts him. Optimus falls into the pit, but as he's fallen into the pit, he catches his arm on like a pipe there in the pit. And as Megatron is gloating there over him, Optimus then, let's see, is it here? Yep. He grabs this support pipe, and he yanks on the support pipe, knocking Megatron and the pipes into the void, along with a bunch of citizens from that world. So, killing Megatron in the game and all of those people. The Autobots are like, Optimus, you won, and so is Ethan. They're all excited that he won, and Megatron can't believe that he lost. And so the Protectobots are like, don't waste any time, Ethan. Hit that button and destroy Megatron before he escapes. And he's ready to do it, but Optimus says, I cannot accept this victory. In defeating Megatron, I caused the death of Metropipe's inhabitants, something I would never do if this battle occurred in the real world. And so he says no. He violated the Autobots' most cherished principle. I knowingly harmed innocents because of our conflict with the Decepticons. And he said, I always have a choice, and I chose to cheat. He didn't actually cheat, but he went against their programming, and therefore he can't accept this win. And he tells Ethan Zachary, you have to push my button on my joystick, and you have to destroy me. And so Ethan, he clicks a joystick, and in doing so, Optimus Prime is destroyed. Optimus Prime is dead. This would have been incredibly crushing to a kid reading this comic book, and it was. However, this came out in January of 1987. Transformers the movie came out in December of 1986. We've already seen Optimus Prime die in one of the most... for a kid, it was incredibly difficult to see Optimus Prime die in this movie, the Transformers the movie. He was, you know, he was protecting Hot Rod, and Megatron blasts him. Later he dies trying to pass the Matrix to Ultra Magnus. Basically, what Hasbro was doing was making way for new toys. And it was incredibly significant where Optimus then dies in the movie, and he also dies in this comic book. And so the Decepticons leave with the Hydrothermocline, and the Autobots leave with the shattered remains of Optimus Prime. And Ethan Zachary, he's very upset, and he takes, because Optimus Prime is one of the most noble beings he ever saw, he takes out a floppy disk that has Optimus Prime's personality on it, and he puts that away because he backed up one of the greatest players he's ever had in the game. Unknowingly, you know, that at some point from this disc they will be able to revive Optimus Prime. But right now, we leave it on a down note. Optimus Prime is dead. The Decepticons have the Hydrothermocline, and in the next issue, you know, what's coming up in the next issue? Gone but not forgotten. Probably a tribute to Optimus Prime. We'll see in issue 25 tomorrow. This is Drew Bennett from Big Damn Kid. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as Big Damn Kid. You can also find me at BigDamnKid.com, where I do a full write-up of every single issue. And you can find me here. Please subscribe. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what your thoughts were. When you saw the Transformers, the movie, what did you think of it? How did that impact you as a kid growing up? You know, the significance of Optimus Prime dying, that was just really hard to take. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. I hope you subscribe. Leave me a comment, and see you next time. Thanks for watching.